What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Everyday Discipline, where we decode, deconstruct, and reverse engineer self-discipline for you to get whatever it is you want in your life. My name is Brent Kokel. I'm your host. As always, love it when you guys are here on the show with me. So, interesting thing about having kids that are on the younger side. I've got a 10-year-old and now an 8-year-old, though my 10-year-old's about to be 11, is that it's really hard to get them to do the stuff that you want them to do. Like when you tell them, go brush your teeth, they will fight you tooth and nail to go brush their teeth. And when they do go brush their teeth, normally it's a half-ass type of thing. And you continually tell them, like, listen, we've got to do this. Like, you need to brush your teeth because everybody at school is going to think that your breath is stinky. They're going to make fun of you. Then you're always going to be the stinky kid. Because like once you get that dialed in, like once that is who you are, that's who you're going to be for a really, really long time. So we tell them, like, listen, you've got to do all this stuff. It is a fight every single morning to get these kids up and ready for school. They need to leave for school about 7 o'clock. They go to school. It's a lot further away from our house now than they used to go to. There was just general bullshit going down at our regular public school in terms of the curriculum, in terms of the mask, in terms of the mandates. And so we were like, fuck this, we're going to a different place. So we go to a school now that very much aligns with our morals and our ideals. And it's really difficult to get these kids up and out of the house in time to do it. But an interesting thing happened last Friday. I get home from the gym because I go to the gym early. I get up at 4:35. I go to the gym at 5. I do my CrossFit workout. I get home and I'm usually home by 6:15 at the latest, which, by the way, if you don't work out early in the morning, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is so nice just to be done by 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, just be done with your workout. You're not chasing it all day. Like, I used to try to work out late in the day, like 5, 6 o'clock, like after the workday. And I would find myself skipping it more often than actually going because it just felt like it was like, oh, I don't have time for this. There was always something else I was pushing onto it. So it's awesome if you get it done early in the morning. So, but anyway, I get done with my workout. I walk in the door from my garage, walk through my laundry room, walk into a hallway, and I walk into the kitchen on Friday morning. It's 6:15 a.m. And I see both of my children standing in the kitchen, which first freaked me out because they're never standing in the kitchen. They were standing right next to each other, almost like the twins from The Shining. And I'm looking at them going like, what the fuck is going on? That's what I'm thinking in my head, because remember, they're never standing up. They're never standing there. They're never smiling at me. But even more than that, they were already dressed for school. Like the school that they go to now requires uniforms. And so they're both in their school uniforms. And my daughter, who you have to fight to like do her hair. I think her spirit animal is Animal from the Muppets. You have to fight to get her to do her hair, and her hair is back in a ponytail and it's brushed. My son's got like product in his hair. You can tell that he doesn't really know what he's doing with that. But they're standing there and everything is set. And they point over at the kitchen table. So I look past the kitchen island to the kitchen table, and there's breakfast on the table. Not for everybody, just for one person, which happens to be my wife, because Friday was my wife's birthday. And so my kids wanted to get all this stuff done to get mom in a spot where she felt really good and she felt like she was just special for that specific day. And I'd never seen this happen before, and it was crazy. And that kind of leads me to the lesson that I want to share with you guys for today's episode, was that you'll do anything when there's a good reason behind it. Like, you will. Like, that's one of the primary reasons why people don't follow through on what they say they're going to do, is because there's not really a legitimate reason why. Or they set something out there without really understanding the reason why that goes down. I think about this, like, when I talk to people about what they want to create in their business, usually it's a number that is so massive that there isn't a good reason behind it, and they struggle to go do it. Most people want to make more money, but I guess the question would be why? If somebody tells me, like, listen, what I want to do is I want to go out there and I want to build a business that I can sell for $25 million. This sounds great, doesn't it? Like, hey man, I want to sell a business for $25 million. But then we start talking about it a little bit based on what they actually want to buy. Because I don't think people recognize that $25 million, it's almost impossible to spend. Like, I mean, yes, you could buy a massively stupid house and you could spend it that way. You could buy a private jet and not pay for half of it. You could buy some yachts and not fucking, like, yes, you could spend it. But if you lived a somewhat normal life, granted on the very, very high end of things, and I'm talking like a $5 to $10 million house and 2 or 3 cars that cost $200,000 and flying first class everywhere you went and going on vacation for about 2 months a year, like that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. So $25 million is what you got. Even at a 7% rate of return on that, that's $1.75 million a year. If you take 15% off the top of that for cap gains, you're at $1.48 million, which is just under $125,000 a month cleared with no tax left to pay on that. $125,000 in your bank account every single month. That's almost impossible to spend. Like I was thinking about it, like in terms of my lifestyle, which is not a low-level lifestyle at all. And I'm looking at it going like 125 grand. It would be really hard to spend. It's almost like in Brewster's Millions, which if you have not seen that from the 80s, you've got to go check it out. Richard Pryor inherits $30 million that he's got to spend with nothing to show for it in 30 days to inherit $300 million, and it's awesome. But in any event, you've got to have a reason. You got to have a reason to do the thing that you want to do. Like beyond the big house, beyond the fancy car, why do you want more money? Like those things are nice. It's like they're not inherently bad, and it doesn't make you an asshole to want them. But you've got to have a deeper reason why you actually want it. Otherwise, you'll say you want it, but then you won't actually really do it. You won't move along the path. It will stall, you'll stagnate, and you'll be completely inconsistent because some days you will be on fire and run after it and go like, dude, yes, I really, really want to do this. And then other days you'll find yourself lagging. Like if I looked at somebody who didn't have a really strong reason behind what they were doing and I looked at their patterns and behaviors over 6 months, what I'd probably see is like a roller coaster type of thing where sometimes they're just on fire, maybe for a day, 2, maybe a week, and then they fall off. And then they're back on fire, and then they fall off again, and they're back on fire, and then they fall off again. The inconsistency isn't driven by anything other than a lack of like purpose and a lack of reason behind what's going on right now. It's like the same exact thing when it comes to people starting out in the gym and then falling off of that. It's like you want to look good naked. Okay, great. Why? Like that's really why I started thinking about it. It's like, when I work out, why do I work out? And the ultimate level of depth to the conversation is confidence. Like I want to feel confident, and the way that I show up in body is the way that I find confidence in myself. I walk differently, I talk differently, I present myself differently. I mean, I'm on camera a lot. And so the way that I look drives my own confidence. But let's just say that we wanted to look good naked. Like that was it. Well, why? Why do I want to look good naked? Well, I want my wife to want me. Why do I want that? Well, because physical connection in our marriage is the glue. It's like when things would get rough, the physical somehow paves over it. Okay, got it. So with that being the purpose, and that being the intention, it makes it a lot easier for me to get up at 4:35 when my alarm clock goes off and get my ass to the gym by 5 because there is a reason behind it. Again, you'll do anything as long as there's a good reason behind it. If there isn't a reason, if there isn't one that's even concrete, like go back to the $25 million example. You can say you want to sell your business for $25 million, which again is great. Like you're not an asshole if you want that. But you're going to struggle to do it if you haven't figured out like, man, could I possibly spend the $125,000 a month that I would make after my 7% rate of return and my 15% cap gains tax on that? Could you? Do you want to? How would that go down? Like it's an insane amount of money. And you might find yourself that, dude, you know what? It would be awesome if I sold my business for $5 million. Because even then, we're talking about a good chunk of change that's coming to you cleared every single month. Understanding what that is and the purpose behind that ultimately drives your performance. And more than that, it drives your consistency. There's not this roller coaster of your last 6 months where it's like I'm up some days, I'm down some days, I'm up for a week, I'm down for a week. It's just smooth and consistent. And that's all driven by the purpose. So where in your life have you not been clear about the reason behind why you're doing what you're doing? And is the reason justified? If you feel like you've got a reason right now, is it a justifiable reason? Is it something that actually makes sense? Is it something that actually needs to be done because it's serving some real larger purpose? Ask yourself that, because I bet you anything that if you answer that question, where is it that I'm lacking the purpose behind doing what I'm doing? Where's the reason behind doing what I'm doing? You're going to find that you're struggling in the exact same spot. So the process to get out of this is simple. Figure out the reason. Like, what is it ultimately going to net for you? What is it going to get? And if you can get to that spot, then you're going to find all the consistency that you need. All right, guys, that's it. That's the show for the day, everybody. As always, I like to ask you guys for a little favor at the end of the show. If you got something out of this show, do me a favor, give me a rating on whatever platform you are listening to this on. It helps, one, understand that you guys like what I'm doing right now, because it helps me understand the type of content that you guys want me to put out here. But also, it helps other people find this show. Other people probably need to hear the lesson that I put out there today and the experience that I put out there today. Somebody you might know, somebody maybe you don't know. And the more ratings we get on the show, the more likely it is that more people will be able to listen to it. So please do that if you have not done so already. If you've previously given me a rating, thank you so much for doing that. Thanks for investing the time in yourself and being on this show. And as always, do the action that we talked about. Do the action, like figure out where it is that you don't have a good reason behind doing what you're doing, and then figure out what the reason ultimately should be. Do that for yourself in the next 24 hours. But as always, I'm going to do my job and come back next time. I want you to do your job and you come back too.